because Bailey is very green and has poor balance and poor steering, we're doing a lot of exercises that require directional change so he can learn to respond to seat, leg and rein aids a little bit quicker. Bailey has a brand new treeless saddle which needs bedding in, and because treeless saddles generally move more on the horse and give the rider less stability than saddles with trees, you don't just have to match the forces that Bailey, being quite bouncy and unbalanced, throws at you, but you also have to counteract the extra movement that the saddle is giving you, which makes trot on Bailey really, really hard. As you can see in this clip, Bailey does have a bit of a mind of his own. He wants to tank off, and I think cobs generally tank off and trot. You can see he's fighting the reins here, and part of the problem was that he, we believe, never had his teeth done, and this video clip was taken just before the dentist came to do his teeth. So he was additionally a little bit uncomfortable in his mouth, but he can be quite defined and contrary if he wants to be. Because Bailey is incredibly clumsy, we're doing a lot of pull work with him so he learns to pick up his feet. In this clip we're practicing walk-hold transitions to sharpen him up a little bit for the walk and hold aids. He has already learned to hold just on an out breath. During the out breath, the core strength of the rider becomes much more noticeable to the horse, and that shows me that he can be quite easily stifled because he's a relatively untrained horse and he already responds very well just to an increase in core force. So the rider has to be very careful with their own core strength that they don't stifle him. Here's a bit of pull work again. He did that quite well. In this clip, Bailey really refuses to walk nicely along the fence down the long side of the arena. We're not completely sure why he was difficult. This was not the only round where he tried to fight me. We were wondering whether there was a spook, but I'm not sure. I'm not totally convinced because sometimes he just wants to go off on a tangent. After that he kind of got into the swing a little bit better, but I think you can see how I'm struggling to match the forces here. I do get thrown around quite a lot in the trot here. And here you can see a bit more of the defined behaviour, and he wants to tank off with me again. So I'll have to hold him back quite strongly, partly with my body but also with the reins. And because he doesn't have his teeth done yet, I think that's why he's opening his mouth, obviously also because he is not generally enjoying being held back. But his teeth, I think, were a significant source of discomfort. But his choice would be that he can go nicely and then there will be no rein pressure from me. but he can be a bit erratic at times. Young, unbalanced, cat late, so there is quite a lot of his own mind going on here. This exercise that we're going to ride now is an exercise that I've made up to make it a bit versatile for him. So he has to ride around the cones here in a few little loops. So he's got the directional changes, 3 on each long side. And then when we arrive back at the fence, I'm trying to use the letter markers. He has to go into trot, so he's got a transition there. So he's got a little bit of trot for a short distance, and then he has to slow down again into walk and go into the loops again. So I'm trying to make the exercise quite versatile with quite a few different challenges thrown in, and it's all quite challenging for him actually because he is unbalanced and green, but that's kind of a good challenge for him here. Also, he's not very fit, and so just short spells of trot will be easier for him to tolerate. This is a really nasty stumble, and I think that is actually quite dangerous. This was the first time that he's gone down with me quite like that, but he does stumble a lot, and as I said before, that's one of the reasons why we're doing quite a lot of foot awareness work and pole work with him. There was a little stumble again just before the hold, and we really need to get him away from that. Here I'm practicing small circles and some walk hold trot transitions, again to make him responsive to very light aids. So I just want really just a small little squeeze, but he needed more, he needed the whip a little bit. He's gradually getting better with that. In the beginning it was a real problem, but part of it is I think he's a bit lazy, he's a bit stubborn, but also the go aids are actually learned aids. They're not, the horses don't automatically know that if you kick them in the ribs that they're supposed to go forward. And here is another hold, and he's actually standing quite nice and square, which is lovely. And in this clip I have changed the versatility challenge, so now he has to do small circles and then do walk trot transitions in between. So the trot is shorter, he needs to respond quicker to the aids, and he's actually doing it pleasingly well, I think, considering that he is green, that he does struggle with his teeth, and yeah, he's doing quite well. Bit on the forehand, and I think that's a really hard thing to get him out of. He will need to learn a lot more before we can shift him a bit more into the hindquarters. And on top of that, because he was driven before he became a riding horse, I think that the forehand is really quite ingrained in him, and that's probably one of the reasons why he stumbles so much as well. But I'm really pleased with him there. He's really doing quite well.